Welcome back to another AMD weekly episode where we're going to look at everything impacting the overall stock this week. One of the biggest things is a massive orders of MI 300, which I think you should be excited about. We also have some rumors of working with maybe a competitor. I want to share my overall thoughts and so much more. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. All right, so AMD in the past 5 days was up nearly 4%, sitting at over $165. We saw kind of a nice bounce off that low high 150s that we were last week. And we did see a nice amount of bullish news, in my opinion. So, first, let's just start off here by looking at forward PE ratio. Right now, forward PE ratio is trading at 33.14, where the median is roughly 32.62. Now, charts like this and all the other charts that I use on all my videos, if you're serious about long-term investing, make sure to check out the partner of today's episode, fiscal.ai/Jose for 15% off. I use them for charting, data, transcripts, and the list goes on and on. Prices, in my opinion, are extremely cheap for all the data that you get. Now, the real first news I want to talk about is IBM and AMD collaborate with Synfra on next generation AI infrastructure. So IBM and AMD have actually been working really well in the past few years. I mean, just about a week ago, I think we talked about the quantum computing partnership that they have. And on October 1st, they announced a collaboration to deliver advanced AI infrastructure to Cifra, an open source AI research and product company based in San Francisco. Under a multi year agreement between IBM and Cifra, IBM is positioned to deliver a large cluster of AMD's MI300X GPUs on IBM Cloud for Cifra to use for training frontier multi-model foundation models. So this is kind of another public announcement of someone using AMD's MI300 GPUs, which should be seen as a bullish case. I did have a question. Why was the MI350s not used? Are the MI350s just that low in have they just been sold out that there's no inventory for that right now? But regardless, seeing more companies coming and using AMD's infrastructure and software solutions should definitely be seen as a bullish case. Now, this agreement is the first large-scale dedicated training cluster on IBM Cloud, leveraging AMD's Instant MI300 GPUs, AMD Pensando NICs, and AMD Pensando DPUs. The initial deployment was made available to Cifra in early September, with planned expansions in 2026. Maybe with the expansions, we maybe go on to some of the newer GPUs like the MI350s, or depending how far in 2026, maybe the MI400. But regardless, we see this partnership with IBM and AMD continue. So something to keep a closer eye on, right? Now, the second thing that we're seeing is there are early talks. There are reports that there are early talks of AMD and Intel in a partnership for the foundry business, of maybe AMD using Intel's foundry side. Now, these are just rumors. I think for AMD, there's nothing that it should be bullish or bearish. I would say if this is true, AMD is going to continue to make its most advanced and most volume chips at TSMC. Now, AMD has a lot of different products, and I'm not talking about just different variations of Ryzen's, but they have kind of embedded products, which are sometimes ARM architecture. They have x86 solutions as well, which is what they really focus on. But AMD could be focusing on a unique product and say, look, Intel, we want to play nice with Intel because we know it could get us on the good side of the current administration. We're going to send you a few orders in the future. So again, I don't think AMD is losing dependency of TSMC. That's not going to happen anytime soon, but it might be more of a political thing if true. If true, right? We don't know anything about the rumors just yet. Now, AMD also did showcase on their developer blogs that how you can use AMD's hardware to use some form of voice AI solutions. This is not a stock moving news. The reason I bring it up is this kind of showcases how AMD is trying to bring more exposure to its consumer AI solutions, and how, as a consumer, if you're maybe an AI developer, you still want to stick with the AI ecosystem. So they talk about how you can run a lot of these super small voice models on your Ryzen AI CPUs, not even GPUs, on CPUs, right? So it's more of them continue to develop an ecosystem that can in the future create a massive developer ecosystem. Something you have to start small, right? And things like that show that innovation. Now, the next thing I wanted to look at are some of the bestseller computer graphics in on Amazon. We're not going to look at number one, right? We're not going to count number one because that's a brace support. But from number 2 to 11, most of them are NVIDIA. I think 6 out of the 10 are NVIDIA. Let's look at, but 4 out of the 10 are AMD. And I think that's actually pretty nice, right? Number 6 here is AMD's 960 XT. Number 8 is AMD as well. Number 9 is AMD as well. And like I mentioned, we weren't counting number 1, so we will be counting number 11. AMD's 960 XT seems to be a really great GPU for that mid-level PC, right? It seems like that $400 price point. It's definitely up there. So that could be seen as a very exciting bullish sentiment, because even though right now for AMD, you're still really wanting the AI growth story to happen in the data center market, if you start to see growth in the consumer space, that can be very bullish for AMD, as the consumer market is still a good portion of this company's total revenue. Now, this is wild, right? When you look at the CPU market, top 10, literally the top 10 are all AMDs, and not just their latest generation, right? We see number 1 is the Ryzen 7000 series. We see number 3 is the 5000 series. So we see a lot of different generations, not just the latest. And I am going to be, if I'm looking at building a GPU right now at a computer, my most recent laptop, I ended up buying with an AMD CPU. I'm thinking about making a new CPU, a new desktop. And I was actually thinking of getting this one right here, the Ryzen 9800 X3D. It's very rare for me to be thinking about an Intel CPU at this moment right now. And I think a lot of do-it-yourselfers are, and maybe potential gamers and customizable CPU builders are doing the same. Now, I also want to talk about another company, DigitalOcean. So I don't follow DigitalOcean, but they are kind of building a form of AI solution. And within this AI ecosystem, they did mention that they are going to include efficiency AMD and NVIDIA GPUs, and to be able to be running advanced models like OpenAI, DeepSeek, Meta, and Mistral, and the list goes on and on. Here we see another company kind of expanding into AMD's ecosystem. Here we can see, by providing high performance AMD GPUs through DigitalOcean's Gradient AI Agentic Cloud, we ensure the ecosystem is powered by world-class open standard hardware. We're not just providing infrastructure, together we're powering the software and the community that will invent tomorrow's AI. So pretty interesting to see more and more exposure here on AMD's AI infrastructure. Now, we don't know exactly what GPUs they're referring to, but in forms of AI, I'm going to guess it's most likely the MI300 series, because neither for NVIDIA, they didn't mention which GPUs as well. But regardless, it does kind of bring that exposure growth for NVIDIA's hardware solution. Now, I wanted to just bring this up. I'm not much into option flows or super unusual, but I did see this comment where, and let me make sure I actually want to follow Super Chatter. There's some very out the money calls, super unusual, heavy price, nearly $6 million on a $180 price for December 19th of 2025. Current price of AMD was what, 166? That's a nice return by December. So just wanted to bring that up. The rest of the things are not going to be AMD stories, but just more the data center and AI market. We saw Sora 2 was recently released by OpenAI. We know that OpenAI has a unique partnership with AMD. Certain inference workloads are done on AMD solutions, and they have that kind of helping AMD build the MI400. If OpenAI continues to innovate, that's definitely bullish for the overall ecosystem and spending in AI. Now, Anthropic, which I don't believe uses AMD, did release a new AI market as well, a new AI model, Claude Sonnet 4.5. This is more of just how the ecosystem is growing. Is still this AI race war. And if the AI race war continues, it could be bullish for a lot of hardware players. Now, Meta does have a partnership as well with AMD, with some of their MI300s and certain inference. Not all the inference is done by AMD. I know there's a lot of there's some AMD bulls that throw a lot of fake news. There's some workloads that AMD does for inference. Meta and CoreWeave just recently announced a massive deal. Could be bullish for the overall ecosystem. More importantly, Meta AI will soon use conversation with its AI chatbots to sell you stuff, to kind of do targeted ad conversion. That's going to need more compute. And like I mentioned, Meta is a big purchaser of NVIDIA, but AMD can benefit if they continue to have this partnership with them as well. So actually, overall, I'm pretty excited for AMD this week. I don't think there was anything too crazy in my opinion. And for me, if I was to be adding AMD, it would be very, very small dollar cost averaging at these moments. I already have a very healthy position, so I'm in no rush to buy more right now. Let me know what you're doing. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.